let's get started.
What is up, guys? Three's Awesome here. Welcome back to a brand new video, and this is a very long overdue video. I don't think many of you really care about World of Warships at this point, but I have so many thoughts that have been locked in my head, and like I said, videos are long overdue. I wanted to make content of the Godzilla vs. Kong World of Warships DLC when it dropped. Around that time, you know, it was crazy. Godzilla vs. Kong came out, and there's all these promotions with PUBG and Godzilla vs. Kong and World of Warships, and I was going to make content about all of it. I had a lot of gameplay recorded for PUBG, and then I think around that time, the channel was striked down, the original channel, and I just kind of lost interest in making videos for a while, and I'm getting back in the swing of things, and I have so much shit I need to say about the World of Ships Godzilla vs. Kong crossover, as it is the worst crossover I have ever seen. But before we get into today's video and dive deep into that, if you like what you see here, please click the subscribe button, like the video, comment. It really helps the channel out. I'm really going to be pushing for this sort of stuff so we can push out of 300 subscribers. Let's get the channel back to what it was originally with 6K. That's where we left it off of. So let's get straight into it. Why was the Godzilla vs. Kong crossover in World of Warships terrible? Well, for one, the advertising is very misleading. And I have to say, it's really disappointing. Now, the game itself is actually pretty cool. Like, I'm not really like a guy that really gets into like realistic games. I like with like realistic mechanics. Like if you've never played World of Warships, like it plays like warships. Like when you turn your cannons, like it's real time, kind of like you might turn your camera to the left instantly, but your guns take time to swing around and aim at your target. Reloading is real time. It's like it could be like 60 seconds to reload. Like it has realistic mechanics. You actually feel like you are captaining a battleship. And that's really cool. And I don't really get into games like that. I never got into World of Tanks or World of Planes if they have it. Never really get into games like this. There's some games that do it where they have like very realistic mechanics that mimic kind of real life physics and stuff like that I've gone into. World of Tanks would have been that if they didn't really drop the ball in this DLC. Now, the really point of doing a collaboration is to, you want to draw on new players, right? Like, oh my god, I love Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm gonna jump on this game, and if I like the game, that's a bonus too, because now I have a new game I can play, and I have some Godzilla content to go along with it. That's like really the point of collaborations, is to draw interest to your product. And so it drew me in, and it left me super disappointed. So when I say the marketing was misleading, is that, well, I'm playing the trailer right now, or I have been, and you can see Godzilla and Kong are on top of the warships. Doesn't make sense, and I imagine a lot of people that don't like the aircraft physics in the movie are freaking the hell out right now. But who gives a shit? That's super fucking cool. But the actual game itself, gameplay, there's nothing on top of your ship. Nothing. And it is so embarrassing. Now, before I really tear this a new asshole, let's go over the pros of this. For one, despite Godzilla not actually being on the ship looks epic as fuck. I love the design of it. I love how they mimic Godzilla's skin and the cracks and crevices with the atomic glow. Absolutely love it. And, the roars that you hear here and there are pretty cool. But that really about does it for the pros. Let's get straight to the cons. Why the fuck is Godzilla and Kong not on the ships? And I've looked into it. The devs, I don't know whose retarded ass decided this, or who is in charge of this, if it's Legendary, Toho, or the devs themselves, I'm going to point the finger at everyone. So, reason number one, I guess it is a licensing problem. So, Godzilla and Kong are very, very, indestructible forces of nature, right? Mankind cannot do harm to them, yada, 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 yada. It just doesn't make sense for a battleship to actually defeat Godzilla and Kong. And that's why they're not on the aircraft carriers, or not aircraft carriers, I guess they could be. They're not on the actual battleships themselves because they cannot technically be defeated by mankind. Okay, but there's still ways you can go about it. They don't have to die on the battlefield. Say if your ship gets defeated and Godzilla is on top of it, he can just simply swim away. He's aquatic. Like, who actually gives a shit? Now that's a little harder for Kong. So what do you do for Kong? Well, you can have Kong swim away. You can have an animation of like helicopters picking him up and despawning and stuff. It wouldn't make sense, and it would be kind of jarring, but you still could have made it work for either one of them. They didn't technically have to be defeated. And let's be real here. If you're talking realistic, or what Godzilla and Kong wouldn't do, they wouldn't captain their own battleship and wouldn't be standing on top of it. They would probably Godzilla himself would get off of it to fight whatever. He would destroy a fleet of battleships. So let's be real there. Okay, so you say, like, well, they just advertised it that way. Like, it didn't have to, it wasn't actually going to be like that. Well, that's where you're wrong, because in the main menu, they are on top of the ships. And I really have to say, if you were to change your desktop monitor to any type of background, I would make a recording of Godzilla or Kong on top of the battleships, because this looks epic. I love everything how this looks. I really wish we got this in-game, but we didn't get that because Godzilla and Kong technically can't be defeated. And I don't know who's saying that. I don't know if it's a Toho thing, if that's a Legendary thing, but I gotta say to the two of you, whoever the fuck is doing it, stop it. Because this is lame as hell. Like, you have them advertise Godzilla and Kong on your battleship in battle, and they're not actually there. You're licensing and your weird legal things like Godzilla can't do this, Godzilla can't do that. It's hurting the IP more, because lame shit gets created because of it. Because there's so many restrictions that you're putting on creators that we don't get cool shit with Godzilla or the Monsterverse because of these weird legal issues where Godzilla can't be defeated this, Godzilla can't be depicted as this, Godzilla can't drink, Godzilla can't express emotion. Enough! Whoever is doing it, most likely Toho. I'm throwing Legendary in there because this is, after all, your version of Godzilla that you own, in a sense. Stop it. Like, you guys have obviously, like, bypassed a lot of Toho's, like, requests and their obligations that they put onto you. So why can't we just bypass some of this shit too? Okay, another point that the devs have mentioned was Godzilla and Kong would, like, you would be shooting at them and that would be like causing damage to the ship. I'm not going to pretend like I know how coding works, but I'm pretty sure you can just make Godzilla and Kong an area of the ship that you can't shoot. You can I don't know how hitboxes really work, but you don't have to make the models themselves, you don't have to give them a hitbox. And on top of that, shooting Godzilla and Kong, why would that cause damage to the ship that they're standing on? It's not like they're connected and they're the same entity. So, like, that's obviously bullshit. And that's really all, like, the stupid, like, excuses the devs have given for Godzilla and Kong not being an actual gameplay. But, okay, well, how about the voiceovers? Well, when you select Godzilla as your captain, you do get some iconic sound effects, and it goes the same with Kong. I don't have Kong, I'm sorry. And we'll get into that later, and you're going to be absolutely blown away by what I have to say about that. So, you select Godzilla as your captain. He comes with his own unique perks and buffs and debuffs, whatever it may be. So when you select, you have a wheel of dialogue. And when you select a wheel of dialogue, you would expect to hear Godzilla, right? Well, you do, but you also hear the human voice overlapping him too. And you can't turn it off. And their lame ass excuse for this was that they don't want to confuse new players on, like, if you just strictly had roars and grunts from Godzilla, you wouldn't know like the significant meaning behind them. As a new player, yeah, if I really enjoy the game, if I had the option, I would turn Godzilla's sounds off and then learn the dialogue wheel and learn what means what, and then turn it and then have the option to have them both overlapping each other, so that way I know which one Godzilla is saying, and then I can just completely just turn the human voice off. I don't want both, or maybe I do. You know what I like? I love options, and that's what you didn't give me is options. I want an option to turn the stupid motherfucker off and keep Godzilla on. Who cares? I play against AI anyway. Like, if I really got into the game, I probably would go against human players. But, like, your drive to get me to come play the game, which was Godzilla, the Monsterverse, and Kong, it fell through. So now I'm into the game, and I also wasted money. Oh, and let's get into that. How much does it cost to get Godzilla or Kong? Well, there is supply crates, and from what I heard, you have a slim chance to unlock one of these items out of a supply crate, whether it be the ship, whether it be some discount Godzilla and Kong camouflage that I guess is disposable, or the captains, or some flags. But you can buy the bundle, which comes with Godzilla, the captain, the Godzilla ship, the whole 9 yards. How much does that cost? I really want you to guess. If you got this far in the video, comment down below. How much did it cost for one bundle? One bundle. Well, let's get some examples. Let's see. The Godzilla bundle and Vanguard and Warzone was $20. Kong was $20. Mecha Godzilla was $20. So, how much did World of Warships charge for the Godzilla bundle alone? $70. You heard that right. I spent $70 of my hard-earned money on this lame Godzilla bundle. And I really have to say, with not being able to turn the stupid human captain's voice off, not having options, not having Godzilla on my ship in actual gameplay, I have to say that hurt me so bad. Like, I was looking at the stuff, I was playing PUBG at the time, and I had spent $100 in PUBG, and I felt more better about the random wheel of loot that you can get in the shop in PUBG than I did my guaranteed chances of just spending the $70 on the bundle. And that stings. And that's why I didn't get Kong, because that would have been a whopping $140. And it wasn't happening. And maybe it was a little cheaper than that. Maybe it was actually $49.99. But I remember spending $70. That's what I remember. Because the in-game currency, the currency pack that can afford the Godzilla bundle, it rounded up to that much, and I was not buying Kong, especially since none of them are going to be in gameplay. I wasn't Team Kong. I wasn't interested in the ship at all, so kind of useless, you know? So that is the most unfortunate and lackluster tie-in I can ever think of. Yeah, PUBG Mobile sucks, but their crossover is probably reigns almost supreme if it wasn't for Vanguard. But the fact that Godzilla and Kong and Mechagods, or mostly Godzilla and Kong, roamed around the map, and you had skull crawlers and shit at it, the PUBG Mobile is probably tied with Vanguard, and that's sad. It's sad that PUBG reigns supreme, and then in a game with battleships can't have Godzilla and Kong on top of them because of legal issues and I guess hitbox issues, which I feel like that's easily bypassable. And if it was really such, and another thing I want to point out too, if like a hitbox was really the issue here, have it to where so another player, not an AI, but I guess this can work for the AI too. If it's really such an issue, why can't you only see Godzilla on top of your ship and the enemy team can't see it? So that way, I'm sure you can post them. I don't remember what game does it, but like you can see certain things on your screen and the enemy can't. So like I feel like it could have been worked out, but at the same time, I feel like they were just making excuses for the legality side of things. So yeah, that is why the World of War Tanks Godzilla vs. Kong crossover was the most lackluster. I think the most disappointing out of all of them. Like it set the bar for the new low. And I remember a year after Godzilla vs. Kong came out, they brought it back. And that was another time I was gonna make a video on this, but I didn't do it. So that is. That really does it for this video. Like this crossover sucked ass, and it was the most advertised through a lot of big creators that did talk about Godzilla, like Goji Center, I think Dangerville, maybe, and some others. Like they sponsored the shit out of this thing, and it sucked. It sucked, but it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. Like, they really shouldn't have even advertised them on top of the ships, which, let's be real here, that is the selling point of the whole thing. But that is it for this video, guys. What do you guys think of this crossover? Did you guys get suckered into buying one of these bundles? Are you happy you didn't buy them? Let me know everything in the comment section down below. That is my time, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, stay awesome.
In my mind, worlds collide, and something inside me is gone. But still I keep holding on. In my mind, oceans divide, and I don't know where I belong. But still I keep going on.